came to the land we now call Canada. These 200 pages include copies of script records I've never seen before. They hold stories that aren't written in the documentation of father, son, uncle, and mother, daughter, aunt. The stories are always trying to break away from the plastic coil binding. You're on the first page of the family tree book, right there. From my mother to her mother to you, my great-grandfather. Sometimes the stories I've heard make me forget that I've never met you. I never called you Pepe while you were there across the room, about to look up and see the child asking for your attention. With each letter, I travel deeper into an old fire started by our ancestors. With each word I place on paper, I am looking for you. I'm looking to understand your place in the Métis Nation and my place as your relation. I write to understand the story of our belonging to each other. Writing is a way of calling out to you. We never belonged to each other in the way grandparents sometimes belong to their grandchildren. You never fried pancakes for me the way you did for my mother, and you never played fiddle in any kitchen I danced in. You were gone before I was born, yet each time I find some new detail about your life. The thread that pulls between now and back then gets tangled up in the wings of an emotion I can't name, and it takes days to unravel. Maybe you could help? Oh, laugh and have fun at my expense. I'm not really expecting a voice from the spirit world, but you could answer in the bits and pieces of history that I uncover and weave together here. There is this, too. If I learn to listen in the way that this story needs, you'll keep answering after this book is published. The story we are telling will never be finished, and it will be told again and again, with beginnings and endings that shift, that change shape. What I am doing reaches into my college days, when every writing assignment somehow took me back to my grandmother and to you. It reaches into childhood, too, where every story carried a version of your name. I didn't know all your names then. Knowing you as Pepe, I knew you as a child knows. When I was old enough to know you had a name of your own, I knew you also as Bob, and the possibilities of you doubled. Your full name in our genealogical records, Léon Joseph Robert Goulet. This name doesn't fit on my tongue. Your recorded birth name is a shirt that is too tight around the shoulders. Everyone called you Bob. The name on most of the vinyl records that keep your songs alive is Bob Goulet. The name used in newspaper advertisements for your performances is Bob Goulet. Who is this Léon Joseph Robert Goulet? Are you wondering what else I'm going to ask of you? I would if I were you. If some future great-granddaughter of mine started digging around my life and asking questions, I'd raise an eyebrow. From wherever I was in the afterlife, I'd stop what I was doing and I'd ask if she has any idea what it is she's looking for. By then, I'd know that most of the people who dig for roots in the dirt of their beginnings don't expect to find a sky beneath it all. Curiosity started it all. All my life, I wanted to know why you, great-grandfather, Pepe, Bob, moved away from Manitoba. It was where your music was born. It was where all your relations lived. You left the Métis heartland for the woods of British Columbia, where nobody knew you or your wife or your daughters. I couldn't understand it. I mean, look at where I established my Métis membership, in Manitoba, a place I never lived or even went to growing up. I grew up in Alberta. Many of my cousins and relations live in British Columbia, but Manitoba is where my roots are. These letters are a beginning. These are the words that have been traveling between my head and my heart. I asked and answers began to arrive, not always direct ones, but hints and suppositions and maybes. At the end of that, I came to the question I think I was really after. How do we belong to each other, my great-grandfather, and what can we teach each other? What can you teach me? This is a beginning. Distribution of half-breed script. Fred J. Hoskin begs to notify persons desirous of purchasing half-breed script, which will entitle the holder to 160 acres of land in the province of Manitoba, that he will be very shortly in a position to supply any quantity of it at the most reasonable terms.